and a very warm welcome to the brainstorming session of career consultation organized by Jagran School of Public Policy and International Affairs under the flagship of Jagran Lake City University, Bhopal, in collaboration with GS Score and Festa Marketing. So let us start with a very positive note. It is we all know that we are living in the time of a very tough era, and it is us who are more tougher will have to take care of this not only at our level but also spreading of humanity and compassion into our society. During these days, it is very hard to keep our morale and motivation very high to pursue a career like civil services. It gives me immense pleasure to introduce our distinguished guest today. We are getting an extraordinary opportunity to auscultate the views of Mr. Amol Srivastava. He is an IAS officer. He started his professional career as a big data scientist in 2014, and after quitting his job, he cleared UPSC Civil Services exams of 2018 in his second attempt with All India ranking of 83. Presently, he is posted in Mizoram as an assistant district magistrate. Another veteran dignity who is gracing with his presence is Mr. Ajay Shah, sir. He is an expert faculty of GS Score. He teaches ethics and integrity, polity, and current affairs to the services aspirants. And with this short note, I would like to shift the momentum to our honorable guest. I am Anshul Pathak, faculty of Jagran School of Public Policy and International Affairs, accords you congenial and amicable welcome on behalf of Jagran Lake City Bhopal and all other participants who are gracing the occasion. It's an honor to welcome you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Anshul sir, and hi everyone. Very good evening and welcome to the platform of GS Score and this esteemed platform. So basically, we are going to have this webinar on how to prepare for civil services examination. So I will just start with the basic introduction of this examination because I believe that many of you might be totally fresher to this examination. So basically, UPSC stands for Union Public Service Commission of India, and UPSC is a constitutional body. And what is the role of UPSC? The role of UPSC is to recruit officers so that officers can serve in the state government, in the central government, so that they can function in this massive bureaucracy of our country. Now, there are many examination bodies in our country which recruit officers, like we have a state PCS, we have SSC, and similarly, we also have UPSC. Now, UPSC has responsibility of conducting various examinations like Indian Engineering Services, Indian Economic Services, Indian National Defense Academy examination, then CMS, Combined Medical Service examination. But out of all these examinations, that is civil service examination is the most outstanding examination and is the most popular examination. Civil services is so popular that when someone says that I am preparing for UPSC, by default, he means that he is preparing for this civil services examination itself. Now, I will just now come to the stages of this examination. I will just give you a basic framework and skeleton of this examination. Now, this examination has three stages. The first is prelims, then we have mains examination, and then we have interview examination. Now, prelims is objective in nature, mains is subjective, that is written in nature, and interview is obviously verbal in nature. Now, in prelims examination, we have two stages. Not two stages, two papers. Paper 1, that is GS paper 1, and then we have paper 2, that is CSAT, Civil Services Aptitude Test. Now, in GS paper, that is paper first, we have subjects like economics, then we have geography, polity, history, environment, current affairs, etc. And in the paper 2, we have subjects like mathematics, quant, verbal ability, English, logical reasoning, intelligence. Now, paper 2 of this examination is only qualifying in nature. That means you just have to score 33% marks. That is 66 out of 200 marks. But the merit list in this prelims examination will be prepared on the basis of marks in paper 1, that is GS. Now, say 5 to 7 lakh people normally appear for prelims examination. Then out of this, approximately 15,000 people appear again in the mains examination. Now, in the prelims examination, if we talk about the cutoff, then normally the cutoff is 50%. So this is the first catchy point for you. You can see that almost all the toppers from different schools, universities, colleges of India, they appear for this examination, but cutoff is just 50%. That means if you can score only 50%, then chances are there that you will appear for the mains examination. Now come to the mains stage, that will be purely subjective, written in nature. In mains, we have first 4 papers for GS paper 1, 2, 3, 4. And in these 4 papers of GS, almost all the subjects that you must have heard now, like philosophy, psychology, sociology, political science, public administration, all subjects are there with some kind of proportion. So 4 papers of GS, now we have 2 papers for optional. Now why it is called optional? Because the people have the option to choose subject of their choice. For example, this year All India rank 1 is from public administration, rank 2 is from economics, rank 3 is from physics. Our speaker today, Amol Srivastava, he is from political science. Now 4 papers of GS, 2 papers for optional, and then another there will be a paper for essay. All of these papers will be of equal mark, that is 250 marks. Now there will be 2 more papers, one English and another will be Indian language paper. So the people in Bhopal will probably go for Hindi, but again Hindi, Marathi, Bengali, people take different subjects. Now language paper, these are also just qualifying in nature. You just have to qualify the papers. Marks will not be taken while preparing the final merit list. So out of this 1750 marks, a merit list will be prepared, and say 12,000 people if appear for the mains examination, then approximately 2,500 people will go to the final stage, that is interview stage. Now interview will be there of 275 marks, and the final merit list of civil services rank will be prepared on the basis of summation of marks in the mains examination and then in the interview stage. And on the basis of that, candidate will get IAS, IPS, IFS, Indian Revenue Services. Then we have also services in railways. Almost all the services of Government of India, that is Group A, are selected, recruited by this examination only. So you can see that the syllabus, the pattern is extremely complicated. Almost all the subjects under the sun are part of UPSC. And if you see the people who qualify for this examination, then there are many people who qualify UPSC in first attempt, but there are many people who also struggle up to 9th attempts. We have some ranks this year who have qualified in the 9th attempt after a struggle of 10 years. So it is said that the right strategy at the right time is the key to success for this examination. And so I believe you people are lucky enough, you people are aspirant, that we have Mr. Amol Srivastava, who has actually qualified this examination. And Amol in the first attempt has reached up to the stage of interview, and in the very second stage he has qualified with that All India rank 83. So first of all, I would like to express my gratitude to Mr. Amol Srivastava for his valuable time, because he is now a serving officer in Government of India. And I would request Mr. Srivastava to express his view, his experience with respect to civil services. What are some basic do's and don'ts with respect to the civil services? And along with this, people, you can just, if some chat box is available on this Zoom meeting, then you can just post your questions in the chat box. We'll pick one by one questions after when Amol finishes. Yeah, Amol, over to you, please.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Ajay sir. Good evening, Anshu sir. Good evening, Dr. Devanshi. First of all, it's a privilege to be a part of a School of Public Policy, because though I have been across the country guiding students, but this is the first time I'm doing a seminar in a School of Public Policy. So here I'm sure that the people who are listening to us are already inclined towards the field of public policy and serving the country and contribute towards nation building. So it's a privilege for me. Thank you so much for having me here. And one simple request from the moderator, Ajay sir, or from the faculty, that if you could tell me the background of the students who are listening to us, like they are graduates, postgraduates, or some engineering field or humanities field, that will be helpful in the further discussion.
Devanshi sir.
Yeah. Welcome, Amol sir. And regarding your query, sir, so we have the mixed batch of students where the students are majorly from public policy and the public administration background. We also have students from humanities as well as those, but the only common feature, I guess, that has been linked with them is each of them has been an aspirant of a UPSC examination. If I can convert it to the graduation and the post-graduation distribution, nearly 85% here are the students of graduation who either would be going for their first attempt or their like the next year they'll be sitting for their first attempts. or the 15% left across are the PG students who have either sat for one of their such of their attention. So I guess this is the total background of the audience here today.
Okay, thank you so much. And I'm looking forward to a very fruitful discussion with such an intelligent and serious staff. Ajay sir, over to you.
No, I told you to discuss first about your strategy with respect to UPSC.
All right. Strategy with respect to UPSC, and as Dr. Devanshu has already spoken, that most of the students are either appearing in the attempt this year or would have already given. So my job is fairly easy here. So I'll just start with a few do's and don'ts which the aspirants need to keep in mind.
Hey.
Network issue.
Am I the only one who cannot hear Amol, or?
So I guess we have lost him due to some network issues.
Okay.
So Ajay sir, in the meantime, if I can request you that by the time we
Yeah.
get back the network,
Please.
and just take it out.
Yes, sir. Ajay, sir.
So see, first I will tell you about the sequence of this UPSC examination by strategy, because there are many people who are totally fresher to this examination. So see, there is a very fixed pattern in this examination. Whenever someone starts for UPSC, the very first thing that is recommended to him is to start with the basic NCERT books from class 6 to class 12th. We do not have to read all the NCERT books because, for example, we can leave mathematics and we can also leave many chapters from the NCERT books. So that's a part of research. And once we finish the NCERT books, the second step that is recommended is to go for the standard resources. Now, when we say standard resources, it can be some scattered resources from internet, from some website, from some standard books, or it can be some coaching materials. Along with this, we have to deal with development of skills in the two areas. The first is development of MCQ solving technique, and the second area is development of answer writing skill. So this is the overall package that we need to cover before appearing this examination. And the time duration for completing this entire package, that will take approximately 1 year. That means even if you are the most genius student of this planet, then only will take at least 2 years to qualify this examination, because in first year you will complete the syllabus, and the cycle of UPSC goes for 1 year from prelims to the date of the result. Now, in this entire preparation, there are three major pillars which everyone has to target. Pillar number one is GS prelims examination, that is syllabus of prelims. Pillar number two is GS mains part, and pillar number three is optional part. That means anyone who prepares, whenever he prepares his schedule or the timetable routine, he keeps into his mind that he has to cover prelims, GS mains, and the optional paper. All right. So I think Amol has joined us. Amol, are you there? Yeah, Amol is there. Fine. So you can just continue with where you left the webinar. You were telling about some basic do's and don'ts.
So we request you to unmute yourself, sir. Amol, sir. So if you can unmute yourself, sir.
Sir, you are.
Yes.
Yeah.
Actually, Devanshu ji, we are habitual in doing webinars on Google Meet. Fine.
No.
Okay.
Actually,
No, sir,
I was
absolutely fine.
Actually, I was trying to unmute, but it was written that the host has his host is not allowing to unmute.
Okay. Please.
I'm being treated as a that participant. No problem. Yeah. So first of all, apologies for the disconnection. So I was talking about the do's and don'ts which the students need to follow. Number one, since you are already a part of a school of public policy, so you have a fair idea about the issues that the country is facing or the world is facing. But the approach that you might be studying in your university right now and the approach required in UPSC could be a little bit different. So first important point is to understand the approach of this examination. This exam is not to give you a degree or not to make you an expert of public policy, but they are just testing your general awareness about different issues, your opinions, and the way you analyze and interlink all the different issues. So this is the first and the foremost thing. Secondly, for this purpose, you have to understand the exam really well, the syllabus, the approach, the previous year question papers, the approach of prelims examination, how the questions have to be answered, the approach of mains examination, how the questions have to be written. They have to be written in a different way, the way you write in college. Thirdly, my suggestion to you would be not to get overconfident, because I have seen people who are from this public administration background. They feel that they know a lot. They know the constitution. They know different fields of public administration. They know psychology. They know political science. So they tend to get a bit of an overconfident. And at the same time, people from engineering background, because they feel they are new to the subject, they'll study it in depth and they study each and every aspect, and they take over. No, they get through prelims and mains examination. So my word of caution here would be to not to be overconfident, despite you have studied these subjects in your college. So it's very important that you take your college education that you are doing right now as just a base and build upon that for UPSC preparation. And the fourth and the most important part, which is applicable to everybody, no matter at which stage of preparation you are, is consistency. I have seen many aspirants who get motivated by these webinars and watching YouTube videos of different toppers. So the next few days, say a week or two, they'll prepare really hard. And then when that the influence of these videos that fades away, they start reducing their preparation. So you have to understand that the incremental effort over a long period of time will yield better results, instead of just giving a good chunk of preparation in first few days and not doing anything for the next few days. So this is not a examination which counts number of hours, that it has to be prepared in 5,000 hours. So you 5,000 hours, whenever you give, you'll prepare for this examination. That's not how it works. You have to work daily throughout the course of your preparation. By the time, till the time you get selected, you have to work consistently with and always increasing the amount of effort that you put in the coming stages of your preparation. So these four things I would like to conclude this on.
Fine. We'll now take the question of people. So we'll take the question of Neha and Harsh Mishra. And I think majority of the people have this doubt how to choose an optional. And there are many rumors in the market that some options are good, some options are bad. UPSC has purposefully targeted this option this year, and UPSC is going to target that option this year. I have seen that majority of the students, they just waste their time in doing this research only, that which option will work next year. So I would request Mr. Amol Srivastava to throw some light over this part, that Amol, is there something called good optional or bad option? And as a fresher, how come one can decide that which optional will be good for him?
Exactly, sir. Optional is one of the most disputed topics with respect to this exam, that nobody knows which is good, which is bad, and people, despite having their background or their interest, they are not able to finalize about their options. So I'll just go with some simple fundas which will help people in choosing their options. Number one, if you are going through your college right now and you want to choose your college subject as your optional. So in this case, it could be public administration, history, political science. It's very good. You can go ahead with that because you have the books with you, you have that mindset with you, and you have expert faculties who are also with us who can guide you on these aspects. But in case you want to shift your optional, that is also perfectly fine, because UPSC has opened this platform for everybody. Anybody from any background can choose any optional. So that means UPSC is not actually targeting any optional or preferring any optional over any other option. So you can choose any option. But in that case, it's very important that you keep in mind two things. You should have a genuine interest, because optional you have to study till honors level. So you have to study in depth, and you have to study in an academic way, not in a generic way, the way you prepare GS. So unless and until you have genuine interest in that subject, you won't be able to continue that preparation. Also, because we have friends who have already given their attempts and friends who are planning to give their attempts, so it is usually seen that the GS will keep on changing depending upon the current issues that are going on. But the optional is usually the same for students throughout their preparation. So if an optional has to be same for 2 to 3 years or 4 years, then you can imagine how much interested you should be in that optional, so that you don't get bored even after studying for 3 years, the same notes that you have made 3 years ago, you have to study them again and again. Secondly, since you change your optional from your graduation subject, so now you don't have the support of your faculty. So in that case, you should make sure that the new option that you are choosing has good number of teachers and study material available in the market, so that they can help you out in that preparation, because you have to study till honors level. And third thing is how you can choose the options. If you have not finalized your options right now, then you can start studying GS first. You'll have to study many subjects in GS, and most of them you are studying right now also. So in that, try and find out 3 or 4 subjects in which you are deeply interested in. Once you have shortlisted those 3-4 subjects, then study the previous year questions, the syllabus, some books, what you will have to study for options, and then make a final decision on which option you have to choose. But my only advice here would be that it should be a reasoned, well-informed, and a practical decision on your part. You should never come into influence of any topper or any coaching institute that any optional is good or bad, or you see the rank list that this time this optional has performed really well. This is how this will be a blunder for you. You should always go with your own genuine interest where you are interested in. And in whatever part of the preparation, no matter it's optional or anything, my only humble advice to the aspirants is that after 2 years, you are planning to take decisions for your whole district, where one signature will be impacting lives of almost 10 lakh people. 500 people will be looking up to you. In times of crisis like these, the whole district is looking up to you, that what is the next plan of action, what will be your strategy, how will you manage the whole crisis. So after 2 years, your life is going to be like this. So right now, when you are in college at the comfort of your homes and with the support of your teachers, I think these small decisions you can take for yourself. If you can take decisions for yourself right now, I think you will be mature enough to take decisions for the district after you clear this examination. So this should be your principle when you decide anything for this examination.
Fine. Neha, regarding this history option, you can just go to the YouTube channel of GS Score. There you will find my interview with respect to Ashutosh Kulkarni, rank 44, who has qualified with this history optional. So he has shared his strategy with respect to history option. And history option, no doubt, it's a very good option. You can just watch that video and get some more idea. Similarly, Harsh, you can watch my interview with respect to Medha Anand, rank 311. She has discussed her strategy with respect to sociology option, so you can get more idea about that, because we cannot cover in this short period of time nitty-gritty of an optional paper. Now, coming to the question of Astha Patel. So anyone like Astha who is interested that what they should exactly do if they are in first year, or if they are planning to sit for UPSC after 2 to 3 years. So see, the very first thing is that after passing 12th, whenever you are ready to devote 3 to 4 hours to UPSC, that is the right time to start preparing for UPSC. And that is the success mantra of anyone who qualifies UPSC just after their graduation. For example, this year, our rankers like Muskan Jindat, perhaps the youngest ranker who cracked UPSC at the age of 22 and in the first attempt. So she cracked UPSC just after her college, and there are many rankers. So these rankers basically start preparing for UPSC after 12th only. Now coming to this point. So after passing 12th, if you are in first year and second year, then you can start core preparation for UPSC. You are completely prepared for this. But having said this, if you feel that no, I am not fully prepared to go into the core idea of UPSC core syllabus, then what you can do, you can just start with reading of basic NCERT's book. Now, if you read basic NCERT books with quality, then that will take you 3 to 4 months if you are investing the quality time. Apart from this, newspaper reading, as Astha has mentioned, that she is going with the newspaper itself. So being a fresher, if you are reading a paper like the Hindu, it will consume your at least 2 hours. So 2 hours and few hours with NCERT, that will be sufficient. Apart from this, there are some popular web series, for example, Bharat Ek Khoj by Jawaharlal Nehru, that gives glimpses of entire Indian history, sociology and all. Again, you can watch one of the series by Shyam Benegal, Samvidhan, which is the story how constitution has been made. So these are something which you can do. Now, after this NCERT or this soft preparation level, take a very cautious call and take this decision after a good deliberation. If you want to join coaching, please join coaching. If you do not want to join coaching, do not experiment. Do not be in the impression that I will just try for the first year, I will try myself, then I will join coaching. Otherwise, this will make so much misconception in your mind. In an UPSC, take the example of polity, the concepts like secularism, liberty, democracy, these topics are so complicated that it require a mature mind. It require a mature lecture to grasp the concept in accurate manner. Otherwise, you will be confused. And I believe you must be knowing this thing that in prelims examination, normally people are confused between two options. They can easily reject two options, and these two options will be there only and only when you have not reached the clarity of concept. Fine. So this is my advice to you. Now we'll move further. So someone has question with respect to current affairs. So I will request Mr. Amol Srivastava. So Amol, the world of current affairs is like a vast ocean, means you can do anything under the sun and you will still feel कि कुछ तो बच गया है. So what's your point of advice, how people can tackle this current affairs?
Actually, sir, when we start the preparation, we feel that everything under the sun we have to study. But again, I've had a simple funda while I was preparing, which I think will be helpful for my friends also. That you have to study something about everything and everything about something. Okay, so something about everything means that you should have a basic idea of almost all the things that are going on right now. Whether it's the Israel-Palestine conflict that is going on right now, or the issues with compulsory licensing of vaccines, or the cyclone Taukte that is in the western coast of India that's going on right now. So you have to have a basic idea about everything. Then you have to know everything about something. Few things which are very important, which are sure that they might be asked in the any course of the examination, whether it is prelims or main. You have to study everything in depth. So this should be the funda to prioritize current affairs. That how you can focus on some topics and how you can give less focus on some topics. I won't say that completely neglected, because in case a question comes and you are not able to answer, then you are completely out of the list because the competition is so high. So for preparing current affairs, if you go on YouTube, you will have plethora of content. You'll be overloaded with content, so many websites, everybody trying to give free advice, everybody trying to give free content, and then claiming also that questions came from our content. You don't have to get bogged by that content. You have to just go through the newspaper every day, the Hindu or the Indian Express, whatever you are comfortable with. Start with that, read it daily, consistently, and supplement your newspaper with a current affairs magazine. Now, by current affairs magazine, I don't mean Frontline or India Today. I mean the current affairs magazines that are released by the coaching institute. Almost all the coaching institutes, they release a current affairs magazine, which is mostly free of cost, which is basically a compilation of what all happened in the previous week or the previous month. And they take almost all the sources available, so you don't have to run through for different sources of current affairs. And they make it in a note format, which is very useful for UPSC, whether it is in prelims or mains. So just these two things you have to follow. Apart from that, if you have any problem in reading a newspaper or understanding the issues, then you can just take help of some coaching institutes or some websites that are giving newspaper analysis every day. Okay, so in the beginning, for 1 or 2 months, you can take help of that, but please make sure that you don't get dependent on that, because spoon feeding is disaster in this examination. Whatever you are doing, just for the first 1 month or 2 months, take it just to grasp how it has to be done. But after 2 months, you have to do it on your own. Then only you will be able to understand and analyze the issues on your own. So apart from that, nothing else has to be done in current affairs. Once you are through with some current affairs and you have revised everything, then you can start with the test series, and you can test yourself. And if there is any scope for course correction, you can very well do it along your preparation.
People, one more thing, as far as current affairs is concerned, we cannot divorce current affairs from the static portion. Let us take the example that it has been in news for the last few days that Governor of West Bengal, he is visiting the right affected areas. Now, Chief Minister or the ruling party is saying that Governor is doing unconstitutional job, and it is not the job of the Governor to visit the right affected areas. But from the office of Governor, it is coming that it is the constitutional duty of the Governor to see that the state is being functioned as per the Constitution. Now, when you will read this news, you will feel that this is about current affairs, but this is not about current affairs. It is simply that this news is just offshoot of a big static part. I will just explain you how. Say, for example, here you need to know what is the power of governor. You need to know what is the power of chief minister. You need to know what is Article 356, according to which we can impose president rule in a state. You also need to know what was the observation of Supreme Court of India in SR Bomai case. You need to know what was the observation of Sarkaria Commission. So Sarkaria Commission, SR Bomai case, judicial review, Article 356, these are not parts of current affairs. These are parts of static portion. So if you see this news somewhere and that whoever is reading that news, an anchor or some of the faculty members, and when he discusses these things like president rule, judicial review, you feel that, oh my God, I do not know these things. And this is the part of current affairs. That is not the part of current affairs. Majority of the portion will be from static portion only, and current affairs is simply offshoot. For example, take the example of one more example from geography. One tsunami is coming and all, fine. So you need to know here the basics of monsoon, the basics of Arabian Sea, Bay of Bengal, all of these things you are going to study when you will cover the syllabus of geography. So the crux is that please stay focused toward the static portion, and when as the static portion is covered, you will become masters in current affairs and do not go for multiple resources of current affairs. As someone mentioned that so many magazines, so many websites are there. Please choose only one website or any one magazine. As Mr. Srivastava has mentioned that if you are going for GSS score, just go for GSS score. If you are going for some other coaching, just go for that coaching. Otherwise, current affairs will disturb you so much, it will frustrate you so much that for the entire 1 year, you will keep studying only current affairs and will miss the static part, which is the vital part of UPSC. Now we'll come to the question of Tanisha Sharma, and people, please, many of you are asking questions. Please have patience. We are going to take all dimensions. We will not miss any dimension in this webinar. So if you feel that my questions has not been taken, so I'm not taking question based on your names, but I'm taking questions based on a particular sequence which has to be followed here. Anyway, so Amol, Tanisha is appearing for UPSC 2023, or let us modify her question. So what is the right time to start answer writing practice, and what someone can do to develop this skill of answer writing?
Yes. So I'll add one more component here, note making, which I could see some questions here also, because that will make the answer more comprehensive. So see, you have to start answer writing only after you have prepared a good chunk of your GS preparation, and then only you should start. On YouTube, if you see most of the toppers and coaching institutes, they have made answer writing as such a big issue that right from the first day you start answer writing, and till the time you get selected, you have to do answer writing. But there is a logical sequence to everything. If you don't know the content, if you don't understand the static part, that your concepts are not clear, your current affairs are not clear, how will you be able to write answers? This is a problem with most of the aspirants who jump into the answer writing right on the first day, and they don't know how to what to write in the answer because they haven't studied anything. So my advice here would be that prepare GS first, prepare a good chunk of any subject. Suppose you start with geography. If you have prepared geography, then attempt geography questions, that too static one. Then you are able to relate it to current affairs. Then you can move on to the current affairs based answers. But what should be done in the meanwhile? Meanwhile, note making should be done. See, note making is the main objective of preparing for this examination. You all know that we have to study so many things, so many different sources, so many books, so many websites, so many materials. But at the end, it's just one human brain that is working and preparing for that examination. So whatever you study, no matter what sources you study, it has to be compiled into one place so that you are able to revise it for your exam. So here note making should not be done for different sources. आपके NCERT के नोट्स अलग नहीं होंगे, आपके कोचिंग के नोट्स या सेल्फ स्टडी के नोट्स या कॉलेज के नोट्स या सेल्फ स्टडी के नोट्स अलग नहीं होंगे. Notes should be made on the topic and not sources. So suppose suppose in history you want to study about Quit India movement. So no matter you study from any different place, it could be your college also, it could be your YouTube, it could be your coaching faculty also, but it has to be in a single note. And whatever sources that you study, you have to just keep on inputting in that single note. So that when you have finished that subject, next time you just have to take that one note and keep on revising it till your exam. So second most important thing with note making comes here, that your notes should be concise. Because if you're in college, when we start reading NCRTs or we start reading any book, we feel everything is important and we write everything down. But ideally, it should be that if you are reading an article of say 500 words, then your note should be in around 100 words, so that your burden and your content is reduced and you are only revising the important points that are relevant for the examination. Now this brings me to the next important part, that note making should be as close as possible to the final outcome of the examination. Right now also you must be reading some humanities books on public administration or history. So with that single book, you can write an essay, you can attempt a book review, you can give your college examination, you can write a newspaper article. But our goal is to write UPSC answers or attempt UPSC prelims question paper. So notes that you make for UPSC should be as close as to the answers that you are going to write. The answers have to be in a definite format, like introduction, then body, then some criticism, then solutions, and then way forward. So your notes should also have these contents, so that in case if luck is on your side and the same question comes in UPSC, then whatever you have revised so far, the same format you have to just reproduce in the examination. Because in the exam you won't have time to rechange or reorient your memory of your long note into the answer format. It will become very difficult for you. So these things should always be kept in mind for note making. And the better your notes are, the more you are able to make concise notes from larger content, your better will be your answer writing, because now you will be capable of writing more content in few words. And that is the whole idea behind answer writing, that in 200 to 250 words, you have to explain the whole question. So note making is the first step and answer writing is the second step.
And do not go for the notes making of newspaper, NCRT books, etc. These are not recommended. Otherwise, you will end up in making notes throughout the year. So you need to save your time. We'll take the question. Divyangana will take a question in the later stage, because that will be clubbed with the question of interview. So yeah, Adarsh, mechanical engineering or any of the engineering subject is a good optional test. But one condition is there, that you should be too much interested in the engineering subject, then only go for that optional paper if you are interested. For example, this year, rank 8, I think Abhishek Sharaf, he has qualified UPSC with civil engineering optional paper. So people qualify with engineering optional also, but go for that only or having deep interest. Otherwise, please do not go for otherwise. What will happen, that engineering subject, the topic, the syllabus is quite deep. And also this will not help you in the GS paper or essay paper. So that's your personal decision. We'll take the question of Aditya Sharma. So I will just modify the question of Aditya Somol. This year, if you see the latest paper of prelims examination, then there are a lot of questions from agriculture. And again, people are starting telling that UPSC is unpredictable, Public Service Commission, so much uncertainty is there in the paper and all. So how to deal with such uncertainty, because it is an open fact that in prelims examination we do not have syllabus. Question can come from any side. So how to deal with this?
So the answer lies in the first answer that I gave, that we are not preparing here for any college degree. We are preparing it to become officers. And if you can see how much uncertainty we have around us right now, and officers have to deal with that uncertainty. They don't know how the situation will be managed. Cyclones are coming, forest fires are going on. Everything is uncertain. They are trying to recruit candidates who can handle that uncertainty. So who are able to maintain their mental balance, who are able to maintain their mental calm, who are able to think in that uncertainty. So if you see the paper, nothing will be there which you have studied, but still people are getting good marks. That means that they are able to find the order out of chaos. They are able to think beyond what everybody has studied. That is why the success rate of prelims is so low, that only 3% of the people are able to clear this examination. So this uncertainty will always be there. The only solution to this uncertainty is to prepare well, get your concepts clear, because if the basics are clear, then our ability to think on advanced concepts will be clear. If you just mug up the advanced concepts without knowing the basics, then it will not be useful for you. So the whole idea behind tackling this uncertainty in prelims examination is to get your concepts clear, practice as much as you can. Now, again, people will say that we joined a test series of such a reputed coaching institute, paid 20,000 rupees also, but not a single question came in the UPSC. So they are not there to guess questions from UPSC. They are just there to give you a practice of how you have to sit in the exam, how you have to maintain your calm while giving the examination. So don't get into that school level mentality that whatever you have studied or whatever your teachers have taught you, that only will be asked in the UPSC examination. The exam is way beyond giving you class 12th degree or college degree. The exam is there to recruit you for the top level of bureaucracy that exists in our country. So the stakes will also be high. So just prepare well, prepare the basics, keep on practicing, keep on revising. The more you revise, the more you practice, your instincts will be stronger. And when your instincts will be stronger, you will be able to answer the questions in prelims examination with greater ease than other people who have just mugged up something.
And please do not take UPSC for granted that UPSC will not ask question from agriculture or from ancient India or from art and culture. UPSC can ask question from any part of your syllabus. For example, this in 2019, a lot of questions were there from agriculture, but people missed a vital point that in class 6, 7, 8, we have a book of NCERT that is called Organic Farming. So that book was having a lot of knowledge with respect to agriculture, but people just missed that book and they were more focused towards modern India, polity, etc. Now, one more thing, Ajit and other people, the cutoff of UPSC is approximately 50% only. Why is it so? Because it is difficult for everyone to cover such a vast syllabus with a point of accuracy. And that is why cutoff is only 50%. So please do not take anything for granted. One more thing, Aditya or other people, to minimize the error in prelims examination, there is a tool that is called test series. So when you join any standard test series, you will get 30 to 35 tests in that test series. So here you will solve 3,000 questions. Now, if you solve 20 years paper of UPSC, so you are going to solve 5,000 questions before actual exam, and this will just minimize the errors in the prelims examination, and you can gain confidence, and you can gain the confidence to deal with uncertainty. Fine. We'll now take the question of Ayush. Again, a very valid question nowadays because so Amol, is it possible to qualify UPSC with the strategy of self-preparation? And if someone goes with this style of self-preparation, then what will be your point of advice to such people like Ayush, who is saying that who cannot afford for this expensive coachings and all?
Okay, first, I'll talk about this expensive part, and that's a very valid part. Even all of us have gone through that phase where we were not able to afford the coaching institute. But again, as I mentioned, that we have to find solutions for our district. We have to become an IS officer. So we cannot be just bogged down by these things. So first, my suggestion would be that you can speak to some coaching institutes who can give you some discounts based on some compassion grounds, or I'm not sure about it. So that you can speak to them. The coaching institutes will be able to tell you better. Secondly, now most of the coaching institutes have started giving limited guidance. Like now coaching is not remaining to that aspect that you have to go to Delhi, spend 1.5 lakh rupees on the course during the whole course, and it's done. Now they have very customized and very specific guidance programs also. For example, you can take a crash course on prelims, or you can take a test series of prelims, or you can just take courses on ethics, or you can just take course on essay, which are reasonable, which you can afford. So here you can make a balance that geography you may be interested, or it will be easy for you to understand, but you may have some problem in polity. So you can just take a course on polity, or you may have difficulties in studying ethics because it's a very different subject. So you can just take a course on ethics, which will be very reasonable for you. So this is another strategy which I also used to a great extent, because I prepared for 3 years. So every year I did not pay huge sums to the coaching institute. I paid wherever I required any help. So this is another strategy. Now coming to the bigger question, that can we prepare with self-study? Yes, absolutely, you can prepare with self-study. Most of the people, they start self-study, and many people clear also with self-study. But here you will have to understand that what extra you will have to do while you are preparing for self-study. For that, you need to understand where does the coaching fit in. So the coaching will help you in making notes. They will help you in giving you content. They will help you in making a timetable, in giving test series, in giving your feedback. So all these things will be there. So in case you are able to do it with yourself, that you know the content, you know what to study, what not to study, which books to refer, you are getting hold of some notes which you can revise, which are updated ones. So then you can definitely go ahead with self-study. But again, my another word of caution here would be that please make sure that you are on track, because coaching gives us a streamline that we know that we have to attend the classes. We know that by this time our syllabus has to be completed. But when we go for self-study, we get easily distracted by other things that are going around in our life. So just make sure that you are consistent and you are focused enough to do a self-study, and you have a lot of time at hand to understand what you have to do and what you don't have to do. And you should not waste your time in just juggling through books, juggling through different sources, and you are stuck that you are not able to understand how to go ahead. Apart from that, self-study is very important. And even if you take coaching, it's not a guarantee that you will clear the examination. They do not have a magic wand. It's the students who clear the examination. If the coaching was the magic wand, then everybody would have cleared the exam. But it's the student who makes use of the coaching. I always compare coaching with a tool. Like any other artisan or any other musician who uses his instrument or the tool to perform and to bring out the best in him or her. The same way, you have to use coaching to improve upon your own preparation. So don't let coaching take over your preparation. You have to take cues from the coaching that where you want help, and you can take the help of those coaching institutes. But at the end, it will be your preparation only. So 80 to 85% effort will be yours only. The only place where coaching can help you is just to ease your burden in juggling through the content and finding what to study, what not to study.
And also, there are many organizations in our country which provides 100% scholarship free program to the students who prepare for UPSC. We at GS Score also conduct scholarship test almost every month, where we provide 75%, 80% scholarship to the people. Apart from this, I will just tell you few organizations. For example, Sarthi in Pune provides a scholarship to the people from scheduled caste. Then we have Tati, that is for scheduled tribe. We have a Mahajyoti in Nagpur that provides to the OBC students. We have one company that is called this MDH Masala company. Right? So MDH Masala company also funds the students to prepare for UPSC. In fact, every year they send 200, 250 students to us at GS Score, and the entire fees is paid by the MDH Masala company also. So if you are such a good student and you are really serious for UPSC, you can also search for this such kind of scholarship also. And as Amol has mentioned, coaching is not mandatory, but dear friends, a mentor is mandatory, because this examination is extremely complicated. Even if you are a very genius student, in the first few months, in the first starting few months, 3 to 4 months, you will face a struggle in what to read and what not to read. And that is why a mentor is very necessary for this examination. We'll take question of people. So Ananya is appearing for 2024. So Ananya, the last 1.5 current affairs is sufficient as far as coverage of current affairs from standard magazine is concerned, or coverage from some yearly publications like India Yearbook, Economic Survey, Budget is concerned. But as far as newspaper is concerned, you should start newspaper from today only. Do not wait for the next year. Then Samiksha, we have taken this question of answer writing. Fine. Ananya, as far as art and culture is concerned, NCERT books are sufficient, and Nitin Singhania book is again one-stop solution for art and culture. But when you are going through Nitin Singhania, please, you can read it smartly. You can keep there are a lot of chapters like festivals, circus, cinema. These chapters can be skipped. But if you go to the through NCERT, then that is also sufficient. I guess this book of Poonam Dalal is for ancient and medieval India, not for art and culture. Your question is very specific about art and culture, and this book is not so popular even in ancient and medieval. In ancient and medieval, go for NCERT books. Harsh, we have taken your question of answer writing. Notes making, we have taken the question. All right. Yeah, Ramesh Singh is a very exceptionally good book. In fact, again, one-stop solution for economics. It's a very good book. In fact, the status of the book is at par with I Am Lakshmikant of Polity. Do take this book. Yeah, Tanisha has a question. Tanisha has a very valid question. Tanisha, see, I will just explain this. I told you a few minutes back that you will face a lot of problem while reading the newspaper because you are not aware about the static portion. But this doesn't mean that you should leave the newspaper. Spend your time with the newspaper, but you should spend time like 1 to 1.5 hours. Time is sufficient. Even if you're not getting the entire thing, I will just give you an example. For example, a few days back, there was a news in that international page of the Hindu that Pakistan is taking a lot of steps so that Pakistan can remove itself from the grey list of Financial Action Task Force, because there are some serious allegations of money laundering against Pakistan. So here you do not know what is the meaning of Financial Action Task Force. You even have a vague idea about money laundering. You even do not know what is grey list. But here, after going through this news, or at least reading the headline and the conclusion, you will get to know that Pakistan has allegation over money laundering and it is suffering from some kind of financial crisis. So even if you understand this thing only, that is also sufficient. So do not wait for coverage of a static portion. Cover newspaper along with the static portion. But it is very true that after some time you will feel more comfortable with newspaper. In fact, a time will come when you will start falling in romance even with the editorial news. A time will come after coverage of a static portion. All right, Phil. Yeah, PSI or optional strategy. This will again be a very comprehensive answer, Ram Naran. So I will request you please go to the YouTube channel of GS Score. There you will find some lectures of Piyush Chaube sir of GS Score, a very popular teacher of GS Score. You can just and then subjective was okay. So the question to Amol. So Amol, in any good answer, there are many components. One of the component we can say is argument, putting your views from multiple perspectives, social perspective, economic perspective. Another part is data, facts, figures. So I've seen that there are many aspirants who just struggle with these facts. They keep memorizing all the articles, even sections from Indian Penal Code and all. So what should be the boundary where we should confine ourselves that yeah, this much facts are sufficient now for the examination? It's a question of Divyangana here.
Okay, so sir, in this case, data and facts are very important, because when we put forward an argument, then unless and until we have data with us, it will be very difficult for us to substantiate that what we are trying to say. We cannot say no that because of COVID, many people died. It does not look like a UPSC aspirant's answer. They should have a focus that many people died due to COVID or COVID-related things. So data is important, but at the same time, data is not everything. Data is just to express or substantiate what you have to say. So whatever is data is coming in the newspaper. Whenever you read a newspaper article or a newspaper editorial, they only give the data that we have only 10 beds per 1 million patients, or we have only 10 doctors per 1,000 patients. So something like that. So these data is already there in the newspaper. So whenever you are, and these data will be covered in the current affairs magazines also. So whatever data is covered by these magazines and whatever data you are coming across, I think that is more than enough. You don't need to memorize or mug up anything, because over the time when we study something, when we keep on revising, we start revising, we start knowing the data by that revision only. So these days the issues are dealing with say, for example, the compulsory licensing of vaccines. So every day in newspaper you will read section 84 of the Patents Act, Patents Act. Every day it will come. So over the time you will get a very natural way of learning those things. You don't have to struggle through it. So don't worry about data and facts. They are important, but over the course of preparation through these magazines and the content that you study, you will do that. So not to worry about that.
And the data and facts which are important for this examination, they will come to you again and again. For example, if you speak about, say, part 1 of Indian polity, then article 1, 2, 3. These articles will come to you again and again in newspaper, in current affairs, while studying federalism, while studying the power of government. It will come in again and again. But article 4 will rarely come to you. So article 4 is not important, but article 1, 2, 3 is very, very important. So data facts which come to you again and again, automatically you will start memorizing the data and you'll feel that this data is important. Also, people, whenever you prepare for UPSC, just stay tied with the past year papers. For example, when you cover, say, fundamental right, look at the questions of fundamental rights which have been asked in the paper. Then you will find that always they're interested in few articles, like article 19, they will always ask question. Article 21, they will ask question. Rarely they ask questions on article 26 or article 28, 25 is important. So in this way also you'll get to know that which articles are important, data facts are important. So Mohit has a very valid question. So Amol, everyone is doing hard work, smart work. Everyone is studying for 12 hours, 13 hours. So how come UPSC will decide that this person is the right officer for us?
Again, the answer will come to that, that the candidate who has understood the exam and understood the outcome of the exam, that right after clearing the exam, he will put on the top level of the bureaucracy. Right now, I'm the head of my office and I'm the youngest person in my office. Okay, so there are many people who are above 50 years of age also. They are much junior to me. And for example, compared to UPSC, and if you compare other examinations, so if you clear the state service examination of your own state, then it will take around 20 to 25 years to reach at a position where somebody who clears IAS will start his career from. Same is the case with SSC also. People who clear SSC will reach to the stage of assistant commissioner when they are on the verge of retirement. But somebody who has cleared IRS or IRS from UPSC, he or she will start the career as assistant commissioner. So you know the stakes and you know the magnanimity that is associated with this exam. So the right person is the one who has understood this exam really well, that this is not a college exam, this is a exam that means business, where you are directly being recruited. You don't have to go through any other place. Even if you clear CAT also, you have to go 2 years of IIM and then you sit for placement. There you are directly placed. Right from the next day you start getting your salary. So please make sure that you know the how this exam is different from other exams, and this exam does not focus on general knowledge. Nobody is going to ask you which is the tallest mountain or which is the longest river or which is the currency of which country. Here they are actually dealing with issues, your opinions on that, and how rational and how balanced you are. So my advice to all the students would be to be balanced. When I was in college, I read this quote that if you want to become an officer, think like one. So this is the day. Start thinking like an officer. Be mature, be rational. Whatever discussions you are having with your friends or your faculty, make sure make it show it to them that yes, you are a rational person. You are not involved with the WhatsApp university forward that you are just getting influenced by whatever opinions and facts are being thrown upon you. You are a thinking individual. You can differentiate between what is right, what is wrong. You know what are the positives and the negative aspects of everything. And then you are able to come to a conclusion and find solutions. So if you are not a part of the solution, then you are part of the problem. So if you have that kind of mindset with you, then your hard work will come into action. Everybody does hard work. ऐसा तो नहीं है कि सिर्फ जो लोग हार्ड वर्क नहीं करते वो तो खैर क्लियर करते ही नहीं है, बट ऐसा नहीं है कि सब लोग हार्ड वर्क क्लियर कर रहे हैं वो सब क्लियर कर जा रहे हैं. हार्ड वर्क के साथ थोड़ा स्मार्ट वर्क, थोड़ी सी अंडरस्टैंडिंग, थोड़ा सा रैशनल अप्रोच, एंड विद अ लॉट ऑफ इनपुट ऑफ बैलेंस, I think that makes the perfect candidate for UPSC.
And so people, quickly we are going to take the questions. Just a minute. So yeah, Harsh, you should go for this Vipin Chandra or Rajiv Ahir's book only, because these books are very popular books. And Ashok Kumar book for intercivil, yeah, that is one-stop solution. But please add current affairs to that, because current affairs is very important in this security chapter. Yeah, Manasvi, from GS Score, we publish a weekly current affairs magazine. We publish yearly compilation of current affairs. We publish gist of Rajya Sabha TV, weekly questions, MCQs open to all. Then a gist of Yojana. So GS Score is one-stop solution. If you want to rely as far as current affairs is concerned, you can just rely only to the magazine of GS Score. That will be sufficient. Okay, so one question was there with respect to backup plan. So I think that person has seen that series of aspirant, because I can see that on YouTube. Kai bar aa raha aajkal plan B kya hai? Anyway, so I will just answer this question. So see, people, when you will read the syllabus of UPSC, you will find that by sincerely preparing for UPSC, you can crack a lot of examinations in the country with little extra effort. So plan B is pregnant in the plan of UPSC. There is no requirement to go for extra plan B. I will just substantiate this point. For example, if you see the syllabus of PCS of Madhya Pradesh or any of the PCS, then that syllabus is quite overlapping with respect to syllabus of UPSC. Then there are some examinations like UPSC CAPF. You scan the profile of people who crack CAPF every year. 99% of the people who crack CAPF are actually UPSC civil servants aspirants only. Fine. And so CAPF is there, Assistant Provident Fund Commissioner in Provident Fund of India. That is also an examination which has same syllabus of this UPSC, state PCS. Apart from that, the people who get command over the option paper, they qualify NET examination also. They go for the career of this assistant professor. And judiciary also. I have one student, Kushagra Agarwal from Madhya Pradesh only. Some Harshul or Harda, some district is there in Madhya Pradesh. So he's from Madhya Pradesh. He was actually aspirant of UPSC, and his option was law paper, but he qualified judiciary paper. So you are very well prepared for other examination also. Plan B is already there. Aspirant देख करके plan B अलग से मत बनाना. अच्छा ऐसा नहीं करना कि एक UPSC की तैयारी कर रहे हैं और साथ साथ में कौन सा एग्जाम बोलो, साथ साथ में मेडिकल साइंस का कोई MD की तैयारी कर रहे हैं या फिर दोबारा MBBS कर रहा है, ऐसा मत करना. तो वो प्लान भी नहीं रहेगा. प्लान भी थोड़ा सा इससे क्या होना चाहिए, मैच होना चाहिए. फाइन. So so 2 questions are remaining. Please do not bombard more questions because we have taken enough questions and we have got almost all the dimensions. 2 major questions from Shri Amol Srivastava. So Amol, you have been a consistently successful man. First engineering, then data scientist, then IAS. Also, we can say you have qualified UPSC 2 times. So how one can motivate himself in being consistency? Please answer this question. And second question, with respect to the Divyangna, I think question was with respect to exposure. That, for example, when someone is in college, he takes part in debates, blah blah blah. So basically, that is called exposure. So how much that is useful in for interview or this UPSC examination in general, please?
Right. So regarding motivation and consistency, see, first thing first, you have to remember why you started this preparation. Nobody forced you to get into this preparation. You are adult, you are mature, you are a rational individual. You have decided to go for this preparation. So there must be some valid reason to go for this preparation. And I'm sure and I'm very hopeful that ये reason ऐसा नहीं होगा कि मम्मी पापा ने कहा है या आपके कोई दोस्त ने कहा है. मेरे कुछ जानने वाले थे, वो शादी से बचने के लिए यूपीएससी की तैयारी कर रहे थे. तो ऐसे रीजंस अगर नहीं है आपके, तो आई थिंक आपका कोई वैलिड रीजन ही होगा, which could be either getting a reputed status in the society, it could be a good career progression, it could be power, it could be authority, whatever it could be. I'm not here to judge your reasons here, but it should be a very valid reason which can make you go along this preparation. I always say this preparation is a marathon race. It's not a 100-meter sprint की आपने 3 महीना तैयारी की, एक एग्जाम क्लियर हो गया और फिर उसके बाद आप कहीं किसी कॉलेज में एडमिशन ले लिया. This is a marathon. You have to run till the end. So you have to save your energy and you should know where to save your energy, where to give the push, when to give the push. These all things are required. So in the whole marathon, you have to be consistent. The first thing is always look for your goal, why you started this preparation. Secondly, look at the outcome once you clear that examination. When I was preparing, so I used to daydream that जब कलेक्टर बन जाएंगे तो क्या करेंगे. Then I used to bring back to myself to the senses कि नहीं यार अभी पढ़ाई करनी है, पहले एग्जाम तो क्लियर हो. So you should always look for the outcome कि जब how your life is going to change once you clear this examination. For that you can watch topper videos. They are very good source of motivation because people from such diverse backgrounds and who have faced lot of adversities in their life, they are able to clear this examination. So once you see their videos, you really get motivated that if these people with lot of struggles and lot of problems in their lives have cleared this examination, then we are at a much comfortable position. So we should be able to clear this examination. That's a very good source of motivation. And the third source of motivation is watching Labasna videos. That used to be my hobby since my college days. That place has some another charm. It's a different world altogether. See their videos, what happens there, how the training goes on, what all different things we do in the training. That will really motivate you. That will really push you to work harder. These are all the external things. Now coming back to the preparation thing. During preparation, there was one question regarding disappointment. So during preparation, please make sure you are following whatever you have set for yourself. Don't set harsh targets for yourself. Set targets which you can achieve and try and achieve them. Because if you fail to meet your minute micro targets like daily schedule, reading the newspaper, finishing off a chapter, then next day you have a lot of burden over you. So that will make you demotivated. That will make you feel lost. That will make you feel demotivated. So avoid that. So try to follow whatever schedule that you have made. Keep on giving tests. so that you are constantly testing your preparation. Some people, they will prepare for 6 months and then start giving the test. By the time they have finished off everything, and then they realize that they have not studied in the right manner. So these things should be avoided. Keep on testing yourself along your preparation. I think this motivation will be taken care by all these things. Now coming to exposure and interview. See, interview is one of the most memorable days of anybody's life, and I am fortunate enough to give 2 interviews in my 2 attempts. So the interviews are not what you get on WhatsApp and Facebook कि IAS में पूछे गए ऐसे 10 सवाल कि मुर्गी पहले आई कि अंडा या गटर का ढक्कन गोल क्यों होता है. नहीं, ऐसा नहीं होता. यूपीएससी में ऐसे क्वेश्चन नहीं पूछे जाते हैं. UPSC interview is one of the most rational, most logical, and it gives you a chance to know yourself better. इतने senior bureaucrats वहाँ पे बैठे होते हैं. You feel you are lucky that you are getting a chance to interact with such senior bureaucrats and for 30 minutes, and they are asking you different questions and about your own life. So whatever you have mentioned in your own form, they will ask questions based on that only. So suppose now you are studying in Jagran Lake City. So they'll simply ask you, why is Bhopal called the Lake City? Or what is the significance of lakes? If you have taken history as your optional, then they might ask you questions कि ये lakes का concept कहाँ से आया और कौन-कौन से states में ऐसे lakes आते हैं. कोई आप UNESCO की World Heritage Site बताइए जिसमें lakes होते हों. या वो क्वेश्चन पूछ सकते हैं कि सांबर लेक में अब आपकी यूनिवर्सिटी का नाम तो लिखा रहेगा वहाँ पे जागरण लेक यूनिवर्सिटी, तो हो सकता है वहाँ की बात ना करें वो. They might ask you some question about Chilka Lake or why birds were dying in Sambar Lake. So that is up to them, but you should be aware enough to understand what all you have done in your life. It's just a reflection of what you have gone through in your whole career. So don't worry about the interview. You have to face the interview with a lot of confidence. Now, how that confidence comes? That comes with taking part in extracurricular activities during your college. I'm sure your college will be organizing some debates, some discussions on social issues, some public speaking events. Take part in them, because when you take part in these things, you learn many life skills. Like you become a good listener, you become more calm, you become more mature, you become a team player, you know what is the importance of team spirit, you become a good leader. So once you have imbibed all these qualities in you, and with that qualities, your attitude towards life, your attitude towards situations that you face in life will change. And once that attitude changes, and with that attitude, once you give the attempt, whether it is prelims, mains, or interview, it will show up on your personality, and that will really help you indirectly during the interview. You don't know that whatever you did in college will indirectly help you in the interview. So take part on all these things. Make yourself a confident individual. Make yourself as a balanced individual. But a word of caution here, that don't just run after certificates. I have seen college students just running after certificates. कि यहाँ ये webinar attend कर लिया तो इसका certificate दे दीजिए, वहाँ पे ये event organize करा लिया तो उसका certificate दे दीजिए. They are not bothered about certificates. They will just scan in your personality whatever you have learned from taking part in these events. Certificates will not matter. So the genuine personality, they are just trying to see who is a genuine person here. They just want genuine individuals who have a passion to work for the nation, who have integrity in their words and actions. These individuals they want. They are not looking for experts, because they know you are just a graduate, 25-year-old graduate. They are not expecting many things from you. So they are expecting very few things from you. Just be honest with yourself and honest with your preparation. So with these words, I think we have taken most of the questions, and I hope.
Let us take Amol, one more question, few more questions.
Yes, sir, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's
so
such
one
an
question is
interesting
there.
Webinar, sir. Very few places we get to see such intelligent questions.
Yeah, people are a little mature in this webinar. Anyway, so Vaibhav has a question about that now it is so many questions that with respect to static and linking that static portion with the current affairs. So Vaibhav, I will just answer this question. See, since you have quoted about Buddhism, so in UPSC, whatever chapter you read, whatever topic you read, the reading is never a mechanical reading. Reading is always analytical, where you have to read the stuffs with application of mind. For example, say for example, you are studying Plato. Now Plato, if you read the theory of Plato, then Plato has given suggestion to us what is the reason to end corruption. And he believes that when philosophers will become the ruling class, then corruption can be ended, because philosophers are those people who are not concerned about wealth and money, but those people are only concerned about raising their intellect. So immediately you can start linking this concept of Plato with respect to contemporary context of India. And we can see that majority of the politicians who are involved in corruption, they are actually businessmen and they are totally divorced from reality. But if you find someone that a person is quite qualified, he has cracked UPSC but is still involved in corruption, or he is doctorate is still involved in corruption, then again you should immediately recall the idea of Gandhiji that knowledge without character is a sin. That means there can be lack of character even when a person is knowledgeable. So these kinds of intellectual activity, linking whatever we read in the UPSC with the outer world, is the demand of UPSC. And whenever you make notes, so Amol has just discussed about making notes. So notes making simply doesn't mean that you are simply copying from whatever you have read in a textbook. You also have to add your points where you believe that yes, this can be the point. Say for example, there is a chapter of social empowerment in UPSC where you have to study what you can do to elevate the status of the people who are in socially disadvantaged section. So if you find some innovative idea, for example, promotion of interdining, it can end caste system. Or when Swami Vivekananda says that caste consciousness is barrier to the progress of India. So these type of things you yourself have to make interlink, and then only you can develop this art of analyzing the static part from the view of current affairs. Amol, please, you also suggest something with this, how we can develop this art.
Yes. See, this art will come the more you read the newspaper, the more you will keep your eyes and ears open. You'll have to relate each and everything with each other, because in answer writing, you have to write multiple aspects. So today only I was reading the newspaper. So I found this interesting thing, and we have the seminar today also, so I thought I'll share this. You must be thinking that the cyclone Tauktae and the COVID problem going on right now are two different events. Okay. But if you see today's The Hindu newspaper, there was a news that the oxygen manufacturing companies who are on the west coast of the country, they are facing problems due to power outages because of a cyclone. So see how the things have connected. Because of power outage of cyclone, oxygen is not being produced. So this is how, if you read the newspaper, you will understand that everything is related to each other. And once you are able to get that knack of interconnecting things, of knowing the impact of different issues which are interlinked and which are creating an impact over each other, then I think your job is done. This is how you have to answer the question. So same case goes on with international relations also. Right now, Israel-Palestine issue is going on, and you should know that what is the stand of India on Israel. How, if India reacts to Israel-Palestine situation, how will the Arab nations behave, and how will US behave? What will be the different, what will be the possible consequences? So if you know these interlinkages, that how one action would lead to another and how different things are interlinked to each other, I think your preparation will go on a very right track, and you will be able to answer prelims questions with greater ease, and your answers will also be very meaningful in your main exam.
One more question is there of Rohit. So see, Rohit and other people, I told you about the pattern of UPSC. So to complete this entire syllabus, for example, I told you about 3 pillars of UPSC, that is prelims GS, then mains GS, and UPSC optional paper. And if you devote, say, 10 to 12 hours approximately on daily basis, then you can cover the syllabus in 1 year, along with the revision, making of some sort of notes, etc. But say Rohit has a question that he can devote only 4 to 5 hours. So naturally, if you are devoting 5 hours, then how much time you will take? Now you will take 2 years. If you are devoting only 2 hours daily, 3 hours daily, then actually you are going to take 3 years. And that is why the people who start preparation in the first year, and they have to manage along the UPSC along with the college, so they will take 2 to 2.5 years to cover the syllabus. So now this is not a hard and fast rule, because I have seen that there are many people, especially the aspirants who are children of civil servants. So such people right from class 6, they have a direction that normally if you see the middle class family in our country, then in middle class family, normally the students put much stress and emphasis on mathematics. But again, if someone thinks in the line of UPSC, then their parents guide that you should be focused at least equally or more towards a humanities subject, history, polity, etc. So I've seen that there are many people who come to prepare for UPSC from the day one, then they have a very good knowledge of NCERT books and all. So if you are in this stage, then time can be little lesser. And Rohit, there are many people who crack UPSC along with their work, job, and all. That is not an issue. And that is all. So people, do you have any doubt which you feel that we should take now this in this webinar? Because I believe that we have covered almost all the dimensions. Anyone? You can just post your questions quickly. Otherwise, we will wind up here. Do not repeat the questions by changing the language. Okay, so Devanshu sir, I think we should now wind up. We have taken almost all the dimensions here.
Okay, sir. Thank
Yes,
you.
sir. And I really
Devanshu
would
sir.
take that particular point as well here. Yes, sir. Am I audible?
Yes,
Yes.
you are audible, sir.
Yeah.
May I ask a question to Amol sir and Ajay sir?
Yeah, please.
Sir, how can we deal with the topics of science and technology? Because most of the candidates belong to the arts background and they are not able to deal with the science and technology aspects. So how it can be possible?
Okay, I will first explain this. See, in UPSC, everyone has advantage somewhere and disadvantage somewhere. For example, the people of humanity, they will face problem in science and tech. Then same thing is with the people who are in science background. They will face problem in polity, history, geography. This is the very first point that everyone faces. So again, if we divide the UPSC topics into several parts, then we can see that every student, even I'm sure that Amol will also one of them, every student has a kind of distaste or a kind of hatred towards one of the topics. This is with everyone. So number one strategy is that the people who prepare for UPSC, they focus more on the subjects in which they are having more command, and they try to go for in a compromising position. But again, we should not leave anything and we should complete the entire syllabus. Now coming to this point of science and tech, then one standard reference book must be there if the people, they are not at all aware about science and technology. And normally people nowadays, they are going for TMH book, TMH publication, science and tech, that is good. Apart from that, in science and technology, most of the questions, almost 100% of the questions, they come from current affairs itself. But you cannot understand current affairs unless you have read the static portion. So say, for example, if there will be a question with respect to vaccine, and probably there will be a question with respect to vaccines and all. So here we need to know the basics of biotechnology. So the basics of biotechnology we can get in a standard book like TMH and current affairs. Just add it, and please do not enter much deeper, because this is also very dangerous, because we have to confine ourselves within a boundary, and science and tech, that's again an ocean. So when you start reading, for example, biotechnology, we will read just in 2 to 3 pages biotechnology, but there is a complete degree in biotechnology. I'm sure there are many people who are doing PhD in biotechnology, but for UPSC, we need to confine in 2 to 3 pages. That's it. So it is important also to draw a boundary line. Amol, any suggestion apart from this?
Sir, I think you have very comprehensively dealt with it. 2 points here, Anshul sir, I would like to say. First thing is, ये एग्जाम जो है जेनेरिक एग्जाम है, यहाँ पे पीएचडी की जरूरत नहीं है, तो इतना जनरल साइंस तो आना चाहिए, क्योंकि अगर हम आगे आईएएस ऑफिसर या कोई सिविल सर्वेंट बनना चाहते हैं तो उतनी चीजें हमें पता होनी चाहिए. फॉर एग्जांपल जैसे अभी वैक्सीन हो रही है, तो क्वेश्चन आ सकता है कि ये कोवैक्सीन और कोविशील्ड में क्या डिफरेंस है. तो आजकल तो हम सब लोग एक्सपर्ट बने हुए हैं कोविड मैटर्स में, तो these things we know. What is the difference? How does an oxygen concentrator work? ये सब छोटी चीजें हैं. प्रीलिम्स में क्वेश्चन आ सकता है कि एक वायरस और बैक्टीरिया में क्या डिफरेंस होता है. एक इनफैक्ट लास्ट के 2020 में एक वैक्सीन के ऊपर क्वेश्चन भी आए थे. उसमें ऑप्शन था कि वैक्सीन का कोई साइड इफेक्ट होता ही नहीं है. तब तक वैक्सीनेशन स्टार्ट नहीं हुआ था इंडिया में, तो लोगों को पता नहीं था, बट अब क्योंकि स्टार्ट हो गया तो पता है कि सबको बुखार होता है, तो उससे क्वेश्चन सॉल्व हो जाता है. वो तो बहुत जेनेरिक चीजों से वो क्वेश्चन सॉल्व होता है. आपको इन डेप्थ नॉलेज की जरूरत नहीं है उस चीज में. सेकेंडली, जैसा मैंने फर्स्ट आंसर में बताया था कि समथिंग अबाउट एवरीथिंग एंड एवरीथिंग अबाउट समथिंग. तो आपको सारी चीजें तो जेनेरिक पढ़नी ही है साइंस की, बट कुछ चीजें जो बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट चल रही हैं इस समय, वो आपको थोड़ा प्रायोरिटी के साथ पढ़ना पड़ेगा. जैसे सपोज अगर कोई सैटेलाइट लॉन्च हुआ, तो अगर कोई सैटेलाइट गई है तो साइंस एंड टेक्नोलॉजी का सब्जेक्ट बन जाता है वो, बट उससे जो फायदे होंगे, चाहे वो रिमोट सेंसिंग में हो, चाहे वो हमारे ड्रॉट डिटेक्शन में हो या हमारे कम्युनिकेशन में हो, तो वो तो एज ऑफिसर्स आपको काम करना ही पड़ेगा आगे जाके। तो उसका भी इम्पैक्ट यही है कि इतना जेनेरिक आपको आइडिया हो कि जब आप आगे ऑफिसर बने तो आपको बिल्कुल भी ऐसा ना लगे कि आप इन सब चीजों के बारे में नहीं जानते हैं। आपके साथ एक्सपर्ट्स हमेशा रहते हैं, बट एक फाइनल डिसीजन आपको ही लेना पड़ता है। तो यू शुड हैव दैट बेसिक अंडरस्टैंडिंग कि स्पेस क्या है, सैटेलाइट क्या होते हैं, हमारे मेडिकल साइंस में क्या है, नैनो टेक्नोलॉजी क्या है, जो नई फील्ड्स आ रही हैं, ब्लॉकचेन, क्रिप्टो करेंसी, ये सब क्या है। बिकॉज अब आप क्रिप्टो करेंसी का सारा जो रेगुलेशन है वो आरबीआई देखेगा अभी आगे जाके। आरबीआई है कौन हेड कर रहा है, एक आईएएस ऑफिसर हेड कर रहे हैं इस समय। तो इनको सारी चीजें जो हैं, ये सारी चीजें फॉर एन आईएएस ऑफिसर और फॉर एनी सिविल सर्वेंट, these are very basic things which every aware individual should know. So you don't have to worry about that. जो चीजें काम की हैं, इंपॉर्टेंट है, आप उनको अच्छे से पढ़िए, बाकी को आप थोड़ा लेस प्रायोरिटाइज कर सकते हैं।
Thank you, sir, for an enlightening and entertaining presentation on the topic of career consultation session. We appreciate having this mysterious area clarified. Your advice on addressing strengths and weaknesses and anticipation of hurdles are awesome. Continuous preparation, you have to work consistency, these kind of motivations work. The audience may not know this. We owe you a special vote of thanks for being here. Please accept it with our sincere thanks. Really heartfelt thank to you, sir. And Devanshu, sir, want to say something?
Yes, thank you so much. And Amol sir, thank you so much. Yeah, for the on the behalf of Jagran School for Public Policy and International Affairs, and we are so thankful to you that this might be your first address to the policy students particularly, but I can assure you that many more has to be there across. On this note, thank you so much and gratitude for taking out time. I know these are very tough times, and in spite you managed to take out time. I would also like to thank Ajay Shah from the GS Core team and all the team members for this organizing jointly this wonderful session, which I hope, and the questions also, I will say that the audience was really on that point today, that they were coming out with some very crisp and very genuine questions, and which was taken at length both by Ajay sir and Amol sir. So thank you both of you. And Anshul sir, thanks to you for moderating this wonderful session with all the team out there. So on that note, I guess this would be all from our end, and we'll be wishing all the aspirants out here, and we soon want to see you there today where Amol sir is sitting across. So all our best wishes from the GS Core team, from the team of Jagran Big City University, and from Amol sir's side as well. And again, wishing each one of you to please take care, stay safe, please follow the COVID protocols, and to get yourself vaccinated as soon as you get an opportunity to. On that note, I'll request everybody to be there. Thank you so much. Thank you, Amol sir, once again. Thank you, Ajay sir, for being there.
Thank you so much, Dr. Vigan.